Jack's on his way.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Bugby. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, October 7th. To my right is Jim Lehan. To my left is Jeff Palumbo. And missing currently right now is our Town Administrator, Jack Hathaway, and our Administrative Assistant, Marion Harrington. Actually, since Jack's not here, I will read tonight's agenda. Meeting called to order. At 7 o'clock, we have a public hearing for liquor license. At 7:20, we have Kevin Maguire from Pine Creek. At 8 p.m., we have Energy Committee to talk about stretch code and various topics. Then the Town Administrator report, action items, discussion items, and acceptance of minutes. And then I do believe we have an executive session tonight. And Jeff, can you read the notice of public hearing for me?
Okay, notice is hereby given that under the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 138, a public hearing will be held on October 7th, 2014 at 7 p.m. on an application submitted by Mary Ellen Blue, licensee and manager doing business as Cilia's, I believe that's the pronunciation, Coffeehouse. The applicant seeks an alcoholic beverage restaurant license at 5 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Massachusetts. This hearing will be held in room 124, Town Hall, 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Massachusetts. Respectfully, the Norfolk Board of Selectmen.
Thank you very much. Would you like to join us up, yeah, please?
Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome. Welcome. So, tell us what you have planned.
Well, we're opening a coffee shop at Liberty Lane. We've applied for a liquor license, basically to have it there for special events, author presentations and evenings, and art demonstrations and things like that, to be able to offer beer and wine, basically, to do that.
Okay. But you're asking for a full liquor license, all alcohol,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Okay.
Because if we have lattes and things like that that want Baileys in them or something like that, we need to have the full liquor license to do that rather than just beer and wine.
Okay. Now, Mary Ellen?
This is Mary
Yeah,
Ellen.
hi, Mary Ellen. Nice to meet
Hi,
you.
nice to
So you tip certified and all the necessary?
I will be, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
And anyone
before
else?
I open.
Will you be the only person serving, or will you have staff that will do that?
I will have whoever, my staff members over 18, I'll make sure they are tips certified as well.
Okay.
I'm a former private club manager and been in the restaurant business for years, so
Okay.
all staff will be tip certified and choke certified and all that stuff.
Questions, Jim?
A couple, but first, we're thrilled that this is finally happening for you.
Me too. Me too.
We've been, I remember your appearance at Community Day.
Oh,
and,
okay.
We were hopeful.
Yep.
So we're looking forward to having you in
Oh,
town,
good.
so that's a good thing. Is the liquor going to be part of your daily process, or is it going to be really just focused on
No.
special
No,
events?
not
It's
at-
not going to be something you're
all.
going to
No.
sell as a routine function?
No,
No.
no, not at all. It's,
So you're not advertising
No,
that? You're
and it
just
will
having
be
the
not on-
capacity for people to have functions?
Correct.
you know,
Yeah.
they want to do a book club in the evening and rent the space and things like that, and be able to offer not only the coffee and the lattes and things like that, but to have a glass of wine or
But
something
you're
like
not,
that.
that's not part of your menu and
No,
part of your
no,
routine?
it won't even be advertised on the menu at all, so.
That was it for me.
Jeffrey?
Welcome. I'm pleased. Maybe some activity finally at that location. So in reading the application, it mentioned, I think, baked goods and things like that, and I think it mentioned sandwiches for lunch. So it just begs the question what your typical hours would be. And this is perhaps for my benefit, but for people who are listening that are really excited. I think that we may finally have that type of operation here in the center of town. Here's your opportunity to describe for them, what you envision this business to be.
Our business is going to be basically to catch the commuter rails first thing in the morning for the first train. Our original spot, we were hoping to be right across from the T station. But since that has fallen through and now up on Liberty Lane, we want to be there for the first trains going on the commuter rails. And then for mothers that go to the library with their kids for a reading or something like that, to be able to come up and have a sandwich, coffee and things like that in the afternoon. And then in the evening, somebody stopping by to get a sandwich or a coffee before they go. Our hours will probably be from, depending upon the first train, and sorry, I don't know when that
It's
is.
early, but the most popular is usually 7:14 and the one right before.
Yeah.
I think we
And
said
then
6 to 6.
6 to 6 basically is what we're looking at right now. Now, that could mean that if it looks like it's busy at 6 and go until 7, it's not going to be further than probably 8 or 9 o'clock at night, if at all, depending upon what the market bears, basically.
Now, how about like if you had those like art gallery showings and book things, that would be extended hours, though, right?
Right,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So, and again, we're eventually, once we get our feet on the ground and rolling, to probably have some dinners to go and things like that for people to come in and grab something on their way home or something like that. So chicken parm or baked chicken broccoli ziti or something like that.
You envision modified hours for weekends, or?
Maybe
Again,
on
depend.
Sunday. On Sunday, if it's quiet, maybe till 3.
Did you mention that you had been in the liquor side of the world before?
No, it's her application. I'm just here to assist her and help her
Okay.
and coach her and get her through this to
We
get
all
going.
need help. Have either of you ever had a liquor license in your name before?
I have.
You have?
Yes,
And
I
where
have.
was that?
I was at liquor license at Wellesley Country Club, Woodland Golf Club, Woods Hole Golf Club,
Oh, nice.
There's a pattern.
Yeah. Okay, nice. All nice.
and then I had my own liquor license up in North Conway, New Hampshire, when I had Brothers 2 restaurants, so.
Okay, all right, good, thank you.
Any other questions to you? Any questions from people in the audience? It is a public hearing, so if you have any questions, comments? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank
glad
you,
to have you.
thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, good luck.
hopefully
Let
about
us know on opening day.
4 to 6 weeks.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out and staying with it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I think we're running a little bit ahead now, right? Jack, do you want to entertain us for a little bit until 7:20?
You gonna sing or dance?
Hand puppets.
Well, it's something easy, or you want to do some action items?
Can absolutely do some action items.
Okay. Why don't we?
We are participating in a community innovation grant led by the town of Mansfield.
Lost everybody.
Wow.
Community Innovation Challenge Grant.
Oh, right, yep.
And that is, as I said, through the town of Mansfield, it's related to stormwater management. It's working with MAPC, trying to create a better, just help all the towns in the surge, which is it's a collective procurement group that we have, about 20 communities participate in. And we're trying to just better prepare ourselves for the new stormwater regulations. So Mansfield is leading this. It's really through Bob McGee will be the one from Norfolk participating with his team, but to help prepare us for the new stormwater regulations that are coming over the next few years. So
You just need us to vote so you can sign?
No, the first one, you guys have to sign.
yeah, we want you to sign the application, but if there's any, what Surge has advised us is just if there's any additional documents that need to be signed, they're just suggesting that the towns all have the administrators or the managers prepared to sign those, just to expedite the process.
Okay. Now, is there any, sounds obviously helpful, is there any?
It's no cost to us.
I was gonna say
It's
cost, so
just
it's all benefit?
it's our participation that will be our cost.
Okay.
So Bob and or his staff will participate. We don't have to kick in any money into the process.
Any questions about that?
I think we're doing pretty well with our
Doesn't hurt
stormwater,
to-
but this is just to keep up.
All right.
They keep pushing the bar higher and higher, as we know.
All right. A motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just specifically vote though to have Jack sign.
Oh, okay. I thought that, okay, so I need a motion then to allow Jack to sign on behalf of the Board of
So
Selectmen.
moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Marion. Jack, you're set there. We'll sign that then.
Much easier one is the Norfolk Community League's annual Jingle Bell Run to be held on Saturday, December 6th, beginning at 11 a.m. at the HL Day School. The route will be the same route used in the past, and they will secure police details through Chief Stone. Chief Stone has approved the event.
You going to be one of the reindeer again?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, good.
Any questions, guys? Motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And then please vote to award the joint salt bid with the town of Medfield to Morton Salt. Delivered at $59.98 a ton, and an alternate supplier to Eastern Minerals, delivered at $63 a ton. In case you haven't, there's information in the packet from Director McGee, but there's also been a lot of media about this recently. We're looking at 20-30% increases in salt. If you remember at the end of last year, there was a big shortage.
Save that for you there.
The supply is down and the demand, because of last winter, is up.
I'm just curious why the cost has gone up so significantly.
Let me rephrase that. Just
I mean,
simple supply and demand.
That's a big change.
Oh, yeah. Really is just, it was difficult. Remember last year, at the end of last year, it was actually difficult
Had
to
a hard
get
time
it
getting
at
it.
any price.
Yeah, I know.
So, as Mr. Colombo discussed with the parking stickers, it's all about supply and demand. And
You're learning.
I am, it's a slow process, but I am learning.
I'm still behind the curve.
I do have, there was an article in the Chronicle today about salt, so I brought that in case anybody wants it.
No, I'm really impressed.
How about that, huh?
I thought it was the heading.
Oh, we got same-sex marriage too, but that's fine. Winter looms as road salt supply low, demand high.
How's this reflect in the budget?
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I'll look it up in a second.
I don't know how much recourse.
We can deficit spend, so
No, I understand.
Yeah,
but-
I know what you mean, no.
Well, we'll make it work.
All right. Any other questions on that? Can I get a motion then to approve the joint bid?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I would be curious, though, Jack, just, there's two of these. I would be curious just to know what it does, what impact it may have on Bob's budget. Because that's a huge increase.
Yeah, $12 a ton. Because how many tons we buy? We probably buy, what, 1,000 tons, 200 tons?
yeah, I got Bob's bullet.
Marion, do you want all of us to sign this on the grant?
On both sides? Or?
Yeah, at each arrow, where it says signature. if you could
Well,
sign.
you've got some varying arrows in various places, so
There's no big-
we're remedial, you know,
Yeah, I
it's,
think-
you've got to work with us.
I don't know if you've
All right, we'll just keep
Somebody
writing.
move the
and-
arrows.
I have the signatures.
Okay.
Okay. So ahead. Do you want to do the,
Okay, one more. Please make the following appointments, or consider anyway. Janice Conklin, 65 Grove Street, to the Cultural Council, term to expire June 30th, 2017. You know, Janice is a former Cultural Council member and had to step off just because of the, we actually have term limits there. Connie Jones to the Cultural Council, term to expire June 30th, 2017. And there's a letter of interest from, I will not pronounce this correctly, Emery Schweihofer, 7 Berry Lane, to the Energy Committee.
Just a question. I didn't realize there were term limits on any of these boards and committees.
Yeah, the Council on Aging and the Cultural Council, both either in their bylaws or the culture, in the case of the Cultural Council through the state law, they can only serve so many terms and then they have to step off for a little while.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, it doesn't apply to selectmen.
You looking down the end of the table for anything?
all right, do you have to do this individually, Jack, or can we?
Or town
You can do
administrator?
whatever you want to town administrator. You can do whatever pleases the board.
Can I get a motion then to appoint these
So
two
moved.
individuals?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I want to thank all
And
three
if-
for
yes,
volunteering.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank
Beat
you.
to the punch. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
very much.
volunteering.
And please come in and get sworn in, too, once you do that. You're going to get, that's important, too, so you can vote.
That would be helpful.
Yes.
Jeff, there's some appointments there when you're ready.
All right, Jack, you got 3 minutes. Anything we can cover in 3 minutes?
Just, I put on the, just above that, the town administrator report, I had a conversation with Bob McGee, and we can talk about it some more in a future meeting with actual numbers, but he came to talk to me the other day, just he's been doing so much with the road program, and he's got some roads that he still would like to tackle, and instead of doing individual potholes, he kind of like what he did with Boardman Street a few years ago, he would love to just do a real light scrape of the road and then put down a thin layer. So he's looking for $20,000 to $30,000 if at the fall town meeting if we want to do that, and he can give us a list of roads that he's thinking about. But
Would you take that as a transfer or free cash?
probably from free cash. I don't know where else we would. Julie's come up with a list of transfers, and we got some health insurance.
How much does the advisory board have? They still
They
have the
still have
50
50.
grand?
Yeah.
So you could take it from there.
We could. We asked them to fund the recreation field damage for
Which was
$10,000.
10, 12 grand?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they didn't want to do that yet. They would rather have us do a transfer and then save that money, save the $50,000 for emergencies later in the year.
Okay.
So.
So free cash.
I apologize. I'm fighting a cold. It's probably
As long as we don't have to put you in quarantine, we'll be happy.
Yes. Stay on that end of the table.
Okay, 7:20.
Is it 7:20? I have 7:18. You want to do the minutes? Jeffrey, have you?
I think we're up to date, correct, Marion? I'm
I'm
going to make the motion.
sure.
Okay, make the motion to approve the, and accept the minutes of August 19th, 2014, regular and executive session, as well as the regular and executive session of September 2nd, 2014.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Good question.
Yeah, please.
Hey, Jack, back on free cash, just one sec.
yeah.
I know the number that was certified, and I think that almost 500 was really designated for capital.
I don't think did we designate?
Well, but it's prison mitigation,
Oh, right.
right? So it really is primarily used for capital.
Yeah.
So that left us roughly 6.
Yeah.
We're putting 90 or 100 back into stabilization.
I think we have 100 on the warrant, but
Right.
that's
Is there anything else that in this meeting that we'll use free cash for?
there is because we've had 7 or 8 people migrate onto the health insurance. There's close to $100,000 of a shortfall there. We do have the money from King
Schools, I
Philip
thought you
coming
said.
back, the 97,000.
97K?
Yeah, so it may end up washing out. But Julie's got a few things. There was a debt item that we didn't fund the debt.
I think this, what's the sign of this, Jeff?
We needed to add about $20,000 to the debt budget.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, just that was one of the ways
So,
we.
so all in all, the 100 to the stabilization, 115 roughly, the miscellaneous, hopefully offset by the 87 from KP. We still have 4.5 to 475.
Yep,
Going into the fall, in the spring.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Marion, who needs to sign these? All of us or just Jeff?
No, just Jeff.
Okay, you can have your own spot, bud. Okay. All right. It is now 7:21, so I'm sorry, I made it behind.
Can I just answer one quick question? So in the DPW budget, we did
Sorry, yeah. Oh,
budget from 43,000 up to 49,700. So we had about an 8% increase. So we're probably going to fall short if depending on the volume that we use. But he at least was anticipating an
That won't
increase.
be a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So it'll only be about 7, 8 grand. Okay.
Good? Okay.
Thanks, Jack.
Kevin Maguire, come on down. Or whoever's going to be joining him. Yeah, wow. Oh, my Lord.
Grab some chairs.
Oh, all right.
So we got 2
What's the
mics.
best way just to
Do you control it from your thing, Jack?
I can pass it over there if you want to control it.
Doesn't, whatever's easy, I can give you the cue or.
Just want to make sure, like, you spin one of those microphones, or just speak into microphones. It's not for us to hear, but it's for the folks at home.
Understood. Yep.
Recorded too, so
Understood.
the other people will be curious.
If you want, you can just give me the
Mr. Chairman,
cue
if I
and
may,
I'll.
Yes.
just for point of disclosure, in an unknown way, ironically, Kevin and I do not know each other, but we both serve on, we've just remembered this evening that we both serve on the same board for a community college. But we do not have any knowledge or business relationships. I have to make that disclosure.
No,
so.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very unusual. Kevin attended his first meeting, and we sat next to each other, and we walked in the room, and we both looked at each other and said, I think we know each other. But our relationship is exclusively in serving on the same board.
Absolutely.
So, just for
Absolutely.
purposes of disclosure.
Well, thank you.
Well, thanks for inviting us in. So we're here to talk about the old Boy Scout property. And, you know, the team that we've brought along is myself, Kevin Maguire from Oxbow Partners, Brian Levy from Beverage and Diamond, Josh Swirling from Bowler Engineering. And I actually had it wrong there. I had Bill Goebel, but I think Josh trumped on this one. And Laura Homich from Prowitz, Chilinski and Associates, who's the architect. And really, Josh and Laura take the bulk of the credit for putting together the materials that you saw over the weekend.
Nice. Thank you for getting that to us early, too.
No, well, with Miriam's help. So we came in this summer, Josh and I, and really had an initial sit down with Jack and with Ray and Janet, and just to kind of introduce ourselves. And we explained that what we really wanted to do was, with their permission, is get out on the site and just try and take some information, gather as much information as we could. We're familiar with the history of the site, but as we come in and look at what can be done there, we wanted to make sure that we were talking accurately. And we didn't want to come in with plans that had a lot of contingencies or were dependent on a lot of different items. And so we came back, Josh and I came back, maybe about a month ago. Really sat with Ray and with Janet, and again, really went through what we had gone through and saw Jack. And so, we're proud to show you what we think is a pretty well thought out, pretty complete proposal that we'd like to submit, or will be submitting to Mass Housing, to Massachusetts Mass Housing, for 28 ownership units. 25 of which, or 7 of which, would be affordable at or below 80% of median income, filed and pursued via Chapter 40B, up on the old Boy Scout parcel. So what I thought we'd do is kind of run through and give you an introduction into some of our thinking about how the development works. It's a very unique piece of land. It's 34 acres. But it has, a very important resource that runs right down the middle of it. And, understanding how to really create a neighborhood that works, a neighborhood that works with its neighbors, and a neighborhood that doesn't necessarily spend all of its money trying to, bridge literally over resources and other things. So, Jack, maybe if you... So this is an aerial, which, just to kind of give some perspective, again, on the size of the site, 35 acres, but you can see that our development concept is really a traditional neighborhood, smaller size lots, homes that go up to 2,500 square feet, and it's a place where people are going to know their neighbors, and we think that's a good thing. But obviously has great proximity to the schools and the ball fields and the train. But to get a sense of what it looks like with respect to the rest of Norfolk, we wanted to put this plan up. As we get closer to the site, which would be the next slide, Jack, this really demonstrates the existing conditions. And there are 2 real limiting factors, and I apologize if I'm telling you things that you already know, but there's a riverfront setback, which had been established at the last, I think at the last hearing, and there was a number of different questions, and that's in the purple line. And then green just shows actually the wetlands, and then the appropriate setbacks that are there. The next plan is really, I think probably how anybody would start to think about what can you do on this site, which is, you want to come in probably as close to town as possible and probably as close to the schools as possible. But, there's really no buildable land there. And, you're immediately trying to, bulldoze your way literally through the resource area. So what we did, it wasn't too hard to say, look, from an infrastructure standpoint, we're trying to be efficient. We want to be smart. So, let's see what we can do is it possible to create a development that would function, that can be built, but at the same time can function over time without having to cross the resource area, which would obviously mean then coming in off Rockwood and then Village Green. And if we switch to the next one, this is ultimately where we ended up. And as you can see here, the red line, we call it kind of an approximate location of a proposed lot line. When we had initially come in, or I should say a month ago when we came in and talked to Ray and Janet, we were working extremely, extremely hard to stay completely out of any resource setback areas. So not encroaching the resource area, but being outside of the 100-foot setback. And, there was a lot of discussion about, Ray was bringing up the very good point about, what happens to this land going forward, wanting to make sure that if public access is something that's important or conservation is important, let's make sure that if this, as we go down the path, that we have this identified and we can talk about it. So what we've really done here is just try to differentiate what could potentially be some real conservation land or resource area that could formally or informally go over to the town. And then that would leave really the developable area that we need to be able to handle all of our stormwater, the septic, and all the other elements of the development. This is a SketchUp or a little bit of a 3D rendering, which just tries to give a sense of what the scale is. It's always tricky to do housing or trees on these, but I think that one of the things that when you're creating a neighborhood for families, you have to be sensitive about where are people going to play. It's one of the things that we talk about a lot is where do the 2-year-olds play, and where do the 7-year-olds play, and then where do the 16-year-olds play. And one of the nice parts that the site allowed was that, I guess in this kind of upper right section, we have what looks like a median between the roads. Yep, exactly right. Thank you, Jack. But that's actually 60 feet in width. So that's 20 yards. So what it really becomes is it becomes a potential ball field. It becomes a potential community garden. It becomes a potential place where some trees are grown. Janet suggested blueberry bushes and a bunch of other things, which are welcome suggestions. But what it does is it allows outside of people's backyards, and off street, but protected within the development, a variety of places where people from different ages within the development would be able to recreate. So the 3-year-olds are probably in the backyard. This is where the 8 and the 12-year-olds are, and we always joke that the 16-year-olds a lot of recreation land, so they can they'll find their spot.
Jump it?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Up in the upper right-hand corner, we run through what our bedroom mix is. Predominantly 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms. With a couple of 2 bedrooms. Again, I think the market that we want to draw from is probably first-time home buyer, coming to town. And we're ready to do some analysis on what that involves relative to school costs and the like. But at the same time, this is meant to be a walkable neighborhood, and for someone that wanted to that had their kids move away or want to downsize, we didn't want to necessarily segregate between over 55, under 55. So the 2 bedrooms do offer the possibility that really anybody could live in this neighborhood. I think on average, our lot, as I say, small lots, they're about 8,000 to 8,500 square feet, so about 80 feet wide. What you see with the homes there is about a 20-foot separation from home to home. So again, it's a little bit more like what you call a pre-war, or what you find more in the historic portion of Norfolk, as opposed to more of a traditional subdivision with larger lots. So let me just stop there, and if there's any questions on, I guess, the physical concept, affordability. One of the people that I do owe a call to is Susan Jacobson. I haven't had a chance to really run through in detail the plan and get onto the agenda for the housing committee, but we'll certainly do that. But as I said, any questions or thoughts, and hopefully it was clear when you were able to look at it over the weekend.
I serve on the Municipal Housing Trust.
Okay.
Two birds, one stone.
Great.
A couple of questions for you. The affordable units
Yep.
that you're talking about, and this might help you in your planning. Statistically, there's very little demand for 4-bedroom homes.
Yep.
Franklin, I think, spent close to 2 years before they were
find.
able to market their final 4-bedroom home.
Yep.
So just keep that in mind. The demand seems to be in 2- and 3-bedroom homes.
Yeah.
It's hard to find qualified families for that. Secondly, I know you've used the formula. I worked it backwards, and you used the formula to establish your pricing.
Yep.
The pricing that we've been using, we don't think those numbers work.
Okay.
So we have been pricing the homes that we've been selling substantially lower than that.
Okay.
We want people to get into these homes and stay.
Sure.
And family of 3 or 4, I think the number $67,000, $68,000, somewhere in that
But in the
range.
That's right.
67.5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in that range. If you have a car payment and oil and everything else that you got to buy, that's a tough number to hit. So we've been selling our 2- and 3-bedroom homes more in the 155 to 175 range.
Okay.
They're yours to market, but I'm just
understood.
giving you some feedback
Understood.
that we've been at this now for about 4 or 5 years, and we've got some
Yeah.
pretty good experience. And most of the homes that we're building now, we have one under construction that is just about 2,000 square feet.
Yeah.
It's a 3-bedroom.
Yeah.
1,900 maybe in
Yeah.
that range.
And we're, as you can see, that's pretty close to where
Yeah,
we're
no,
at.
your size is
Yeah.
very consistent with what we've been doing.
Yeah.
But your pricing would be a stretch for people if you. These
No, it's
folks.
good to know. It's absolutely good to know. Obviously, we start with what is the formula, 30% of income, et cetera, et
Right.
cetera.
No, I worked when I was working it over the weekend. I noticed you went right by the formula.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so that essentially gives us the ceiling.
Right, that's your max. And our experience has been that you've got to bring it down
Understood.
a little bit,
Understood.
just for what it's worth.
Yeah.
And
And this is
Ray, it
really.
was Shrewsbury, I believe, that we got the per pupil number that seemed to be consistent with projects like this, and that was 1.7, wasn't it? So we've been doing a lot of work on this over the summer with different projects, and the number we think is probably, help me if I'm wrong, I think the number is fairly consistent, about 1.7 per house for this size. 1.7 children
Children per house, yeah,
is a number that
for school. Yeah.
is probably as close to anything we've found that will give you some good data on the number of children you might expect in a project like this. So that might help you as you work
Yep.
through this. That's
No,
some of the things that we've experienced to date. We have another large project that we've been working on, and there's been a lot of debate as to, whose numbers one should use, and there always will be. But we did find that there were some projects in Shrewsbury
Yeah.
that were very similar in size, similar community,
Yeah.
a little bigger, but and more of a suburb of Worcester, but a lot of similarity, and that number held pretty true to 1.7.
Right. And I think that, that's ultimately what you need. I mean, for a long time, people have struggled because there hadn't been built developments
Right.
to go look at, particularly on the ownership side.
Yep.
So it's great that you guys have reached out. I mean, people have a wide opinion of what that number is, but there are some studies out there that start to point to that.
Yeah, and so it's the one we found to be most accurate in helping us project, because it is sort of a like community for us, and that seems to hold. So that might help. Thank you.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's a long history here with this project, which, it certainly predates my time with this board. So, I look to my colleagues to jump in if, in fact, this has been covered in the past. But I also serve on the planning board.
Okay,
So I take
great.
that perspective to it. And typically with subdivisions, we encourage the ability for people to be able to, from a pedestrian standpoint, to be able to walk and gain access to perhaps other neighborhoods and things of that nature. So I'm just wondering, without any type of substantial clearing, is it a thought to provide a pathway to access more directly the Freeman Kennedy School?
Again, it doesn't take you too long to get to that point, because it is both for, this particular neighborhood and obviously the neighborhoods behind it, a very safe passageway to get you there almost directly. So, it's definitely on our radar. As you said, we've wanted to be very careful, particularly about talking about conservation items, just because I know there were a lot of issues that came up in the previous hearing that kind of stuck around that. So, I think we agree 100% that that's a great connection to make. We want to just have the conversations as we go through along the way.
Okay.
I don't mean to be a devil's advocate to that, but I always get nervous when you have extended pathways through woods with kids. For what it's worth. It just inherently makes me nervous. I think we have a very safe community, and it is an isolated area, but you never know. And while it's close, it's a heavily wooded area, and it just would make me nervous to have children walking through there.
I mean, frankly, in a way, that's the downside of not going across, because if you had a built road, it would be something substantial, and it would probably be lit.
Yep.
Again, we don't think that's necessarily the right answer. But, to your point, the question is, the school and the ball fields are not too far. So, again,
sure,
it's something
it's very close.
something that we're absolutely ready to talk about.
Yeah. So far, so good, Kevin. Thanks.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you for, this is, for folks at home, this is a 40B project, and all 40B projects are not hostile. They can be very friendly and worked out very nicely, and I thank you for taking the initiative to approach it that way.
Well, it was really this, when we came in and met with the staff, extremely helpful, really drew some clear lines for us, and, gave us some real clear feedback. So, we're very proud of our team and the work that we do, but, we can build a place. It takes the people from the community and the people that work there every day to help us make it a local place. And so that's kind of the back and forth that I think we've already begun with Jack and Ray and the rest of the crew.
Speaking of that, Kevin, sorry, it's probably a question. Have you done stuff like this before? So I don't know if it was in that pack or when I read it quickly, but did you, what's your history? Can you point to some other?
Absolutely. Laura and I worked on, up in Wayland, there was an old Nike missile site that the town wasn't sure what was going to happen. They bought the parcel, 13 acres. They set aside 3 acres and went out for RFP for affordable ownership. In this case, it was 100% affordable. And we built that out, very, very successful, and sold that out. We joke that, we had only 2 homes left when Lehman collapsed, and, we got through, and
Good timing.
the timing was actually quite good. Yeah. Personally, right now, I'm working on the island of Nantucket, 40 first-time affordable home ownership projects.
They have such a concept in Nantucket. That's pretty good. Okay.
There's not a home for sale under 700,000
say,
on the
yeah.
island, and so there's a real sensitivity to the workforce.
Right.
So
There's 10,000 residents year-round there.
that's right. That's right. And so affordable ownership is, unique in general. Affordable ownership, having been through it, understanding and marketing and selling to the affordable piece, to the affordable people, is much harder than to the market people.
Sure.
People always say if you build it, you're going to have 1,000 people in line. That may be the case, but, there's a huge process to go through to get them, mortgage
Qualified,
ready
yeah.
and, to actually get a mortgage and understand it all. So we have a pretty good experience on the ownership side.
Okay, thank you.
So your next step is what?
Our next step is we are going to be submitting we're going to have to flush out the package a little bit, and we've got some comments that we're going to include. We're going to be submitting a package to Mass Housing probably in the next 2 weeks. We will be delivering one to you all. They will be sending one out probably through Jack. And then there's a 30 to 60-day process whereby they try and collect comments. And ultimately, they're trying to decide, should they issue the project a site eligibility letter, which gives us the ability then, under law, to submit for 40B. So we think that's probably going to take us through the end of the year. Hopefully, we would be coming in, there'll be conversations with Conservation Commission and the other boards and more with Ray along the way. And we'd like to think that we could get into the ZBA in March or April.
Okay.
So that's the hope.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleased to meet you.
Okay, thank you, guys. So Andy's here early, which is very nice. Good night, thank you.
Is there anything you want to talk about before we?
Yeah, right.
One of the things that I like about this is the single access. I know that sounds like somewhat of a contradiction, but the issue,
Yeah.
the secondary access over the wetlands.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, like you said, it has some issues of danger, but, it looks good. I'm not in a butter, and I'm sure people have issues with that. Okay, we're ahead of schedule.
Could we take just a 2-minute recess?
Yeah, sure.
Looking for your phone in your. I couldn't
Yeah.
find it. I rang it upstairs. I couldn't find. I was calling it. I couldn't find it.
Do you want to do a
Just a
2-minute
quick-
recess? Yeah, we got a couple
Just
minutes,
a
yeah.
2-minute recess?
Thank you, folks. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Oh, well,
Not in the car?
not that I could
Not between
find.
the seat.
No.
So, Jack, what do
But
we
I'll
want to cover
check
now?
again.
We got 15 minutes.
Well, I think you can. I mean, it's not like a public hearing. You can.
Okay.
You can do.
Andy, you ready to go then early?
I'm ready to go. I was supposed to get some backup here, but
Oh,
I
then you
think
wanna-
they're running late. No, I'm
You need
I'm good to
backup?
go.
Since when do you need backup? Give me a
buddy.
break.
No.
What do you have for us?
I sent over two items to talk about. One was the study group to be put together to evaluate the stretch code based on some suggestions at town meeting, and the other one is a bunch of topics. If you have a preference to either one, and the way this is kind of put together is a lot of these are kind of intertwined.
Okay.
But I think the study group, I mean, this is the first cut, and obviously there's some things that need to be done, some things that have to be done. I'll be blunt. I'm a firm believer that the stretch code would be a benefit to the town. I know there are some objections to it. It doesn't come with no effort from anyone. At the same time, some effort does have to be put through different ways of looking at things, but at the same time, with all the energy work I've done over the past literally 14 years, I mean, we're seeing huge savings where I work, as well as it's nice to say that I basically cover my salary and then some. So, if
Ask for a raise then.
I wish. So, but I mean, it's I view this as a potential cost savings as well as moneymaker for the town. Some may be more in some areas, and some may be less in some areas. I mean, this is the view. I'm going to intentionally I'm going to stay away from any climate change issues, because I don't view this as being a climate change issue. This is simply saving money, making money. Call it a capitalist view, but that's the way I look at it. So this is here. If you guys want to get back to me with some ideas or inserts, or inclusions or something like that, like I said, this is the first cut. Obviously, the makeup of the committee, and I tried to limit to 5 meetings, thinking that would be easier. If it has to go 7, has to go 10, so be it. But if we can try and come to consensus, and if we can't come to consensus, we don't come to consensus. I mean, this is we haven't approached it this way before. It's always sort of been a very emotional topic, as well as I'm going to be blunt. There's been a lot of bad information, disinformation, incomplete information that's been put out there, and sometimes it's been a little one-sided on both ways. So that's kind of this is the start. So if you guys could get back to me.
Now, where would you, so the meeting skill set, how are you going to get these members, or how many members?
I mean, I'm going to say, you guys, as the Board of Selectmen, talk with more people. I mean, obviously, there's some interested, whether they're developers, whether they're interested people, town, are there town employees that should be on this? I mean, should the building department be a member of this? Should your board be a member of this? Should the planning board? Should the zoning? I mean, this is the first cut. So this is a work in progress, and I'm looking for some sort of yes, no, maybe we need to do this. So that's all this is.
Okay.
So.
Yes, sir.
You're right. I mean, we did, I think a lot of, this has been brought up twice in town meeting and defeated both times, but in both instances, the defeat was more relevant to concern over the accuracy of the data.
Yep.
And so, to give it a fair opportunity, I support what you're doing. I mean, why not? I mean, so I would support it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, continuing to reassess, as the information either becomes better or the circumstances change, right, in terms of the building code. I know that was one of the things in terms of anticipating what changes we're going to. So now, as time goes by, some of that stuff becomes a known.
Yep.
So that might also be helpful.
Sorry, go ahead, Jim.
I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Jeff, to your point, that we're kind of coming to a gray area with the new revision of the building code coming in 2015, and whether that actually goes into effect when they think it's going to go into effect.
So it's still gray?
So it doesn't become gray, or it just becomes a wider gray, if you know what I mean. So I mean, we could be looking at 2018 by the time that actually happens. So, I mean, we are dealing with a moving target. To a certain degree, and eventually some of these incentives to do this will go away by that time. I mean, that's, we are a moving target. We can always, hindsight's 20/20. You know exactly what other towns have done. You can look at that as an example. That's the best gauge, of how this could possibly affect. But then again, every single dynamics, the development of a town, from location to location is different too. So I mean, I think we have to start someplace. But I think giving it a critical evaluation is it's definitely warranted.
Yeah, I think that the tough part, honestly, is getting the balance of individuals on this that have some basic knowledge, because this is not something you can just have no basis on and just walk into and really meaningfully contribute. So you need to have someone that has some basic knowledge, and then also someone that doesn't have a predetermined view on it. Because that always slants the process. So hopefully we can find 4 or 5 objective folks that have a basis of knowledge, and see what we can find out.
Okay. And I'm going to say, having finished a home that essentially exceeds the Massachusetts stretch code, even though it's not even in Massachusetts, the benefits of actually taking that little extra step of how you look at windows, how you look at the blower test, how you look at air sealing, stuff like that. I mean, it's a huge cost savings. It's not necessarily a benefit for the town, it's a benefit for the individual. And I think there's a huge learning gap Your average person say, well, I'm going to buy a house. Okay, you buy a house.
That's what I did,
Well,
unfortunately.
look at an older home that was from the 70s or even early 80s. Look at the heating costs. With the renovations I've done in my home over the past 25 years, less oil, less electricity, less everything. Sometimes it's one of those things that you need to give people the opportunity to be able to partake. If they don't want to do it, then fine, they don't. But if you can save some money at the same time doing it, then by all means. So.
Well, let's see if we can find some folks that are willing. Tonight's not the place to debate the stretch
Yeah,
code.
yeah.
Let's see if
Yeah,
we can
it's-
find some
it's-
folks
it's-
that are willing to participate in this and give it a fair hearing.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Good suggestion. And it is what came out of town meeting. You're correct. Yeah.
So, let's might as well just go down the list. Norfolk was awarded a grant for a part-time energy manager
Right.
back in May, and what's going on? We haven't heard anything. I know
No,
Jack,
sorry,
Jack
yeah,
just,
I've been getting emails every day from that guy Paul Grant, or someone in charge of that, and I've been forwarding to Jack, who's
Okay.
been forwarding to Scott Bragdon. So
Okay.
we got something. You're right. I didn't.
25 grand, I think.
yeah,
No,
20,
but we got stuff, and they want us to go to webinars or something like that. So it comes to me, I think, because I was the chairman. So
Okay.
I didn't think that, and it should fall to
Okay.
you. But we can ask Jack when he
Okay.
comes back. But I
The-
know they're on top of it. Or
there's a lot of tasks that are actually listed on this other list, and that the energy manager could be doing, and a lot of these things could be a lot of legwork to for projects for the town. So I guess if there is a direction that the town wants to go with an energy manager on what their expertise is, because believe me, the range of their expertise goes from anything from energy efficiency to renewables to simply heating and ventilation, stuff like that. So something like that we need to, the energy committee would definitely like to be involved
okay.
with that. So,
Well, I think the intent, Andy, of the original grant was to hire someone to give us a baseline
yeah.
so that we kind of know where we are, as opposed to someone that would continually manage the process, because we don't have that spot and we don't have the. I'd be surprised if we would be able to fund that on an ongoing basis at this point. May be able to.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some benefits that would allow us to do that, but I do think that was the original intent of that grant.
Well, call me overly optimistic, but I think to establish a base grant, a baseline, should be fairly quick. We've already done this once before in filling in the data. There's, the evolution of the energy, conservation is a evolving topic. So there's a lot of new products out there, as well as a lot of new resources. So I don't think establishing baseline is going to take a year. I certainly don't think it's going to take 6 years. I don't think it's going to take 8 months, but it could take a month. It could take 2 months. So, and then just sort of keeping it up, and I think that once that happens, we can move on to other projects as well. And part of I view I guess one of my goals for the energy manager would be to try and bird dog and flesh out some available funding for energy efficiency projects for the town buildings, whether it's a improvement, existing building, or the new public safety building, when that goes, if that's moving forward. So,
That is moving forward.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, so.
So Jack took off on it. So you can give us an update on that, Andy, on that. What
Okay.
we've gotten from the state. There's something.
Okay. Okay. Rebates, incentives for lighting projects, energy efficiency. The utilities are providing huge rebates now, up to 50% for exterior lighting, and this kind of moves into one of the topics below, or actually a couple of topics below, the center of lights, the center of town lights. I lost track of how many times when Butch was saying we're going to convert them to LEDs. We shut them off at 10:30, some off at 10:30. I've come through at midnight and they're all still on. So, this is something that we need to, probably take another look at. Or do you just take out the metal halide and go with an LED? If you're going to save 40, they're going to be using 40% less energy. It's an easy fix rather than looking at control technology.
Jack, what we talked about on the what is our lighting cost? What do we have what did we spend for these lights that Andy's talking about, or in all our lights in general? He's talking street lights, right?
Well, I'm talking center town, because
right.
I think that's always been a question, and I think for
Yeah, this is one I would, conceptually, no one would argue
Yeah.
with the logic of it, but this is one I would really want to see real financial data on.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have heard from someone in another community that this actually costs them money, and let me explain why. The cost of taking the pole down, the equipment to do it, the time to do it,
Yep.
the change in cost in terms of the usage, The break point was like 18 to 22 years.
Oh, yeah,
It
yeah.
was way, way out.
Yep.
And so, there are some things that, while conceptually they make sense, the break point for that is just too far out. It just doesn't make sense to do it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So we need to be sure we have, no one would argue the logic of it, but the financials of it say it may not be the right thing to do.
Right. No, and that's actually the couple of the projects I'm working on now, where we're looking at 400 fluorescent overhead lights, 2 bulbs, and the rebates we're getting give us maybe $60 a fixture, but you're looking at a huge amount of time to replace it. Still, the break-even point is 3 years. So is that good?
Well, 3 years is good.
Well,
to me, 3 years would be okay.
Well, let's.
22 is not.
That's what they're saying it's 3 years. But to give you an example, because some of these bulbs are on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the lifespan of the bulb is reduced. It's not on 8 hours a day. So all of a sudden, you start throwing labor in there, and it's like, okay, wait a second.
What happened to the 40-year light bulb, Andy?
No, these are high output T8 lights like this. They're fluorescent bulbs because it's still the technology that's out there.
Yeah.
We've now found a fixture. It's $139. Takes you 40 minutes to do the retrofit, and you're guaranteed 100,000 to 160,000 hours. So, and that's how. And literally, this project started sort of in June. We got some numbers. We just found this product. We've got a couple of demos going right now. That's how quick the technology is changing.
Yep.
Personally, if you could simply, and I'm going to simplify this, if you could simply just take the existing fixture that's there, unscrew it, put a new fixture in there, you're done. You're not taking out any poles or anything like that. So that's something. Getting the simplest solution. That's the way we should go.
Or the most financially viable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep. So, the other thing too is the street lights throughout the town. The sodium vapor lights and some of the metal halide lights that are at the streets. Right now, we're getting, after rebates, the actual fixture is only about $165, and these are LED lights that provide actually a slightly better light. And no more calling in saying a bulb's burned out and it's going to eventually get changed. In the meantime, we're still getting charged for that light because it just hasn't been changed out. I mean, that's something to look at. Obviously, Jim, your cost, the cost to do the actual work, would be part of the analysis as well. So
Do we get a fixed rate on that
Yeah.
anyway, don't we? I believe we get a fixed rate on all that.
it is a fixed rate, but it's based on the number, based on the number of daylight hours, dark hours, times that it has to come on, and knowing what's out there. So if it's at a 400 or 600 watt or 250 watt light bulb versus a 120 or even a 70 watt LED, that's they would make adjustments. They would make adjustments. We at the prison we have those as well. We have the lighting meters, and we're slowly changing them over to LEDs as well.
I wouldn't be opposed to any of these, Andy,
Yeah.
just as long as we put financials around
Yep.
each one of them.
Yeah, and believe me, there's a point where you can say it's just not worth it.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
Well, along those lines, we're just really coming to understand some of the increases in electricity rates that, trying to understand how it's going to affect our town, but I would think that that's going to help support some of these initiatives, and it's certainly not the way we want to support those investments, is because we're going to be feeling those things at home,
Yeah.
in our homes, but that's something else to consider going forward.
Yeah, well, believe me, I'm a firm believer in energy conservation before any of these renewable projects or some sort of alternative energy, because it's proven time and time again that it's the way to go. I mean, you can knock off 30% off your bill if you do it right. So, but just so you know, just some background, the utilities, when they provide rebates for let's just say lighting upgrade, there's 2 ways of doing it. They simply just give you a flat fee based on an approved list of lights that meet their criteria, or you do a prescriptive, that's more prescriptive, where you actually do a fixture by fixture analysis, and it's a little more paperwork, but it's based on total kilowatt hours saved. So if you can show that you're going to save 80%, which can happen, your rebate might be 50% instead of 30%, or a flat $30 fee or $40 fee, depending on. So there's a little bit of work that has to go into it, but this is something that will save money. I mean, we're seeing. We have, at the prisons, we have basically metering in buildings as part of a pilot study that was done a couple years ago. We're still using the data. We changed one building completely over to LED lighting. In the first month, we were saving 300 kilowatt hours. Well, what's that equate to? Over the course of the year, it's $10,000. So that was the cost of the project.
I was going to say, what'd you spend to get to that? So you
Yeah.
spent about 10.
Yeah,
So
you're looking at a 1-year payback. That was unusual because, again, that was simply a case of simply changing light bulbs. It wasn't a case of ripping out
Yeah.
fixtures and
Changing.
so. And we just we're seeing more and more that they're starting to add, these consultants are starting to add in the saved labor of changing out light bulbs as well. So it's, they're becoming a little more sophisticated in their information. They're not just say, here's your fixture, go do with what you want to go do with it.
Jack, right when you were left, Andy was asking about the energy manager guy. And I said I've been getting a ton of emails, and I forwarded them on to you and Scott, right? Because he was just
Yeah.
kind of asked where we're at, because the energy committee didn't really know anything about that. We're not knowing anything about it, but just wanted an update.
Scott Bragdon's been working on that, and what he's would like to do, and I think I talked to a couple of you individually, was just hire a consultant or a contractor. I forget which. They allow one, but not the other. Because I think we were trying to avoid hiring an employee and then have the grant pay for the employee and then have the long-term cost. I think he's taken a couple job descriptions from the other towns, but I told him to work with you. So if you want to help, that would be great.
Okay. I know we're bouncing around a little bit from lighting, but just replacement members. I know Emery. Name was considered in. Okay. I was probably driving in.
Yeah, no, we did that, voted, yeah, so we signed a paper, so if you remind him to come down and get sworn in, so we can vote and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's just usually, sometimes that holds up the process.
Yeah, I
We're
mean,
done. He's done.
Emery does the energy conservation. He's the numbers guy, the engineer.
Oh, nice.
It is more refrigeration related, but then again, I mean, it still equates to, lighting as well as other things too in the HVAC aspects of it. One outstanding issue is the sale of the SREX from the Freeman PV system. October, well, actually, about a year ago, I said I came in from this board and talked about taking the class to do the SREC paperwork, for lack of a better word. And the program had become so incredibly complex that it just didn't become cost effective to send me to the classes to do it. We are missing an opportunity for some money. I had spoke with a gentleman out of Holliston who the company is called Solar Farm Bank, and part of the name, but that's what he does. I mean, he does aggregations. He's actually looked at the system.
Stephen Hershey, he's working on it for us. So.
Oh yes, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So that's something we definitely need to get going. I mean, the potential revenue was about $25,000, which really is nothing to sneeze at.
We haven't done anything with that yet, or is it just because it needs the school?
Steven's difficult to get in touch with, but I did talk to him.
Yeah.
When he gets off his next project, he said he would come out, and I've given him all the details about the site that we have. So
What's the frequency on that? Is it quarterly that they review the SREX? I mean, it may have changed since dealt with some of this stuff.
It used to be quarterly. Now there seems like they're going to about every 180 days, give or take. I mean, the payments that we get were the last one we got was actually in July of this year, and that was actually from last year first quarter. So there's a delay getting them. The value of it is going down. At one point they were $500 per megawatt hour produced. Now they're down to, it could be $225, $285. But with the change of the solar cap in Massachusetts, that probably is going to go into effect next year or so. It'll start driving it back up again.
Good.
So it's pretty important. Just for the Board of Selectmen's benefit, the system actually went down this past weekend. Why, I don't know. I usually check. I can check the system online because there is an internet access to it, and I can check it online. It went down. I talked Toby through resetting it today, and it came back up. It's covered under warranty, which is good. But the funny thing is the kiosk out in front should have been flatlining, and no one noticed it. So I'm not quite sure why no one noticed that. But that being said, we are back up and running. It was producing power; it just wasn't recording. And the critical thing is being able to report the data what you're generating. So, but we're back up and running. So.
You don't have like an alarm system? Oh, you checked it. If you
I
don't proactively
check
check
it.
it, it doesn't.
I check it.
Well,
Since I also sit on the school building committee, one of the things I had asked the electricians to do is be able to send out alarms, like if you're not getting if you're seeing a drop in power, and that was programmed in. Why it never got enabled? It very well may have gone just to the electricians. It's not going to anybody in the school. So I'm Selelctmen, who's the company, they're out of Lawrence. I asked if they could send me a full list of what they're providing or what's provided under that. They can provide alarms, and there's all different things. You know, there's only really 2 alarms we need to go if we're completely offline or if they've lost internet connection. And there actually has been some losses of internet connection over the past year or so, which it comes back, you know, whether it's us working on the system or it's a loss of connectivity from the provider. So
That's a good thing.
yeah. So okay. Skipping down Energy Committee representative to new public safety building. You know, not that you know we know anything about public safety, but you know, if there's some input, you know, lighting and heat, you know, are going to be the biggest energy pigs the building will have. I mean, that's, you know, I think we've proven that by the baseline we did for the existing police station and fire station. If that's something that can be looked at, you know, sometimes spending an extra $20 on a lighting fixture can save you hundreds of dollars over the course of the year, and I think that's, you know, that's something worth looking at. Again, I mean, I know it's going to be the architect and whoever is actually managing the project, but still, this is something that critical eye, the third eye, sometimes needs to be looked at.
Now's the time to do it.
Couldn't, couldn't agree more. I'm on that committee, and I'll be sure that we take advantage of that. So why not?
Okay, and also rebates too. I mean, there's rebates available through
Absolutely.
the utility.
Take every bit of help we can get.
So, one thing that I know this is always sticky, but we should have really tried to see if we could get rebates when we resided this building. There were air sealing through Mass Save. I mean, I watched what they did when they were putting the siding on, and that classifies for air sealing. It could have been $1,000. It could have been $4,000. It could have been $10,000. But it would have qualified. I mean, we should have done that. But it was a missed opportunity. I mean, it's frustrating.
It's too late, I assume, then? Even though
Yeah,
it's done?
yeah, because it has to be approved. It has to be approved before the actual work starts. But you know, I mean, that's a missed opportunity. So, water department energy upgrade opportunities.
I'm going to throw it back.
Okay.
Why didn't you guys tell us of that when you knew we were going to start this project, to take a look at that?
I have to admit, I didn't even know because I went back to the town meeting, the last meeting.
Because it's
minutes.
been very public that we were going to do this. So, you know, we freely admit, it is in our area of expertise.
Yeah, reciting.
So
Yeah, no,
let me throw it back.
Yep.
You know,
when I heard there was reciting, I thought it was going to be reciting, just basically, you know, rip the stuff off, put it back on. This was a little bit more than reciting. I mean, the fact
Yeah.
that they put
Right.
So, but the reciting, let's just say that let's just say something was lost in translation from reciting to actually what we did. So,
Well, I mean, the message is twofold.
Yep.
One, we need to be more aware of it, one.
Yep.
But you guys can help us with that.
Yeah.
If, you know, even
Yep.
just asking the question
Yep.
might have raised it. So
Yeah.
it does swing, the door goes both sides
well,
on this one.
well, the project was known, the actual spec and the actual.
But
the
you
actual
could- you
work
could have
scope.
asked.
I know. So, but again,
Can I ask a question on that? Since Rob stepped down, or one of you,
Yeah, it was my bad. It was my bad.
I didn't.
No,
miss that.
I did. Like I said, I assume Rob has a lot more expertise than I am.
Andy, I'm not looking
I heard
for
siding,
fault.
too.
Oh, no, no,
That's
neither-
not-
and neither am I.
None of this is
Neither am I.
about fault.
Yeah.
The point is, if we miss an opportunity and
Yeah.
you know, if we're not
it's a lesson learned.
in line with that, you guys should jump in. I mean, there's no harm in saying, hey, take a look at this. We welcome that.
Yeah.
Welcome
Yeah, it's a lesson learned, and again, you know, I had assumed when reciting was going on, it was simply just reciting. I didn't expect the level of effort that it actually had gone on.
It looks good, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How's the
Yeah.
rebate calculated?
Both by square footage, potential
Savings?
linear feet of air sealings, particularly windows, doors. You know, just places where you can lose heat. You know, air sealing in your home typically is done by, you know, rim joist sealing, caulking windows, sealing windows, possibly replacing windows. Lynn, I know you did your attic.
Next to nothing with Mass Save.
Yeah.
I did Mass Save, but they put the cap over the thing and
I
they
did the
sprayed
same
a bunch
thing.
of stuff up there.
They did about $1,200 worth of work in my house.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah.
I
so
would
it's-
encourage anyone at home to do that.
Mass Save. My mother told
There's
me
no
about it, and I did
downside.
the
Yep.
Same thing. And you
Yeah.
get free light bulbs.
Yeah. So Jim, I'll say it's simply a lesson learned. You know.
Yeah, no, both sides. Yeah, my point is, Andy, you should always feel comfortable
Yep.
in asking.
Yep.
There's
And
never any harm in it.
again,
We're
yeah.
on the same team.
Okay. So, water department energy upgrades. There's millions of dollars available for grants for, you know, whether we're looking at putting VFDs in for the pumps and stuff like that. I know some work was done quite a few years ago. You know, if there's any other work going on, you know, this is something that definitely needs to be done. Medfield just got $250,000 in June for their wastewater.
Let me ask you, Andy, I mean, this is all good to know, but we don't, this is where we need your help.
Right, which
Okay. Have you sat down with Bob?
I talked. Actually, I stopped in the other day because of the other thing I'm working with him on getting rid of the
I
extra
mean,
powers.
please,
Yeah.
I encourage you.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
he'll sit down with him and because we are constantly working on this system, constantly.
Yeah.
And we're now looking for new water sources and things of that nature. And if there are ways that you know of that we can get rebates or cheaper deals or anything that saves the town money,
Yeah.
we want it.
It's mostly the electricity. The way the technology is going. If the
Yeah.
if the equipment there is 3 or 4 years old, you may be able to go something more energy efficient. Unfortunately, I mean, I know the way the water department is not necessarily. It's paid, the work's paid through by the enterprise fund, but still.
It doesn't matter where it comes from. I
Yeah.
mean, money saved is money saved.
So-
I mean, somebody's paying the bill. So
Okay.
if we can cut that cost down, we're all for it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure
Yeah,
you
no,
guys.
yeah,
have-
no,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
even to have the specifications, so when a pump fails,
Yeah.
they're ready, they can make that decision quickly, potentially. I mean, delivery on some of this equipment, I'm not sure, but, at least have a chance at
Yeah.
upgrading.
See, to me, may I? See, to me, this is where I think you folks can be critically instrumental in helping us, throughout the community, is that get involved in the day-to-day activities. I mean, we can easily say, hey, there's, don't need you in this one, or
Yeah.
come on in.
Yeah.
Because you have an expertise that we don't have. And that, to me, is one of the real benefits of having the Energy Committee, is when we're into these projects, knock on the door and say, hey, have you thought of this, or look at it a different way? I mean,
Yeah.
But we got to make sure we share the projects. It's almost like we should.
well, but the projects are public. They're pretty
yeah, kinda,
public.
you have to read. Try to make life easy for them. Right? So you have to dig. It's signing, but
there's always something going on. So the list is endless. But water, especially right now, that's a big deal to us. We are, especially with some of the development projects that are before the community and the potential of that. I mean, this is a very hot topic for us right now. So if there are ways you can help, please jump in.
Yeah. Well, I will voice my one thing is that it seems like the town could invest $100,000 on water conservation measures for the water users that do it, and you could be saving quite a bit of money by not having to pump as much water and have other water surpluses. I mean, I mentioned this to Butch many years ago.
Explain that again.
Figure out how much you can afford you can take out of the existing enterprise fund. If it's $100,000, and offer to replace toilets, offer to replace sinks. I mean. Fixtures and stuff like that, shower heads, stuff like that.
all the things that leak.
There-
And just,
I mean,
Talking about usage. Cutting down on the
Cutting
usage.
down on usage. Not only are we pumping less water, we're using less chemicals, we're using less this. I mean, there's a lot of things, less energy. I mean, it's a huge, it's a big domino effect, and that's something that, again, if we can't get grants, and there are grants available for some of this, it's money well spent because you're investing it back into the system. And this has always been I can tell you. I mean, you remember the issue at the Norfolk prison when we lost, we had to shut the water down a couple years ago.
I remember.
I mean, we're saving 100,000 gallons a day because of the water conservation work that we did. And a lot of it was shower heads, some flow restrictors. Some areas were simply cut off. Some loops were fixed. But it's a totally different mindset that it took 6 months to implement. But it's a huge savings. And that $100,000, less chemicals, less pumping, less electricity, less
why
processing.
do you say 100,000? That's just an example.
It's just,
That's an
just a
example.
number. Just
Yeah,
a
just an
number.
example.
I
But
mean,
it's-
toilets are one of the greatest abusers. The old toilets that use twice as much water as the new toilets.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're talking about incenting people to make that change in older homes,
Yeah.
and providing a rebate at the town point, and the idea being we'd offset it with savings and costs.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's something that we can do, and I mean, Lynn,
Yeah,
Lynn's-
that is a pure expense to the town, though.
Yeah.
That
It-
ends
it
up
is
being
an-
a pure expense to the town. It's
It is-
good for the overall usage of water per se. Good for the homeowner because they use less water,
Yeah.
but it's a pure out-of-pocket cost to the town.
Yeah, which is, I mean, but having gone through the exercise, there is a savings. There is an ultimate savings, and
To the homeowner.
to the home and
Well,
to
to
the
the
town. as
town.
well.
Less consumption.
Well, we use less water, but there's no financial differential.
Right.
It's a pure out-of-pocket
Right.
cost,
Right.
Scott, because we only get paid on usage.
Right, on-
So
we-
so
right.
it's a pure out-of-pocket cost, so it has to
Yeah.
fit within the budget.
Yeah. To your point about the total financial aspects of the project. I mean, this is one that does have its positive and negative implications.
Yep.
Overall, though, over time, it's more of a positive implication. So that's something.
Yeah, less water used. Yeah, absolutely.
So-
I mean, we did something like that when we had the leak problem, where we offered to sort of fund, if you will, but it was a payback
Yeah.
over time. But we did offer folks, it was $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to fix those leaks that were on their property, and we offered to fund that for folks that
Yep.
weren't in a position to do that,
Yep.
which was the right thing to do, but that was an out-of-pocket cost, but we recovered it over time.
Yeah. Yep. So-
It's an interesting idea. I don't know if the budget could absorb that.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, do you start at $10,000 for for the next 3 years or every other year or something like that? But I threw $100,000 out because I know what $100,000 can buy you with terms of
Lot of toilets.
shower heads and a lot of toilets. Yep, and shower heads and fixtures and you name it. So, but the other thing too is that you could look at some revenue coming in because if someone needs to hire a plumber to do it, they got to pull a permit. So. So.
Require a plumber. Yeah.
So, Jim, I guess to your point that you made before, continuing outreach and education to town members. I mean, that was part of I think the issue of. It's pretty clear that we need to do a better
Yeah.
job of getting
Both-
back
both
to you
of
guys.
us, yeah.
So,
How do we keep you better informed? How can we help?
I mean, emailing. I mean, emailing's fine is the best. I mean, I think most of you have my email address. I mean, that's the best way to get in touch with me. We can send it off to I can send off the rest of the committee members. Yeah, sometimes you hear a lot of stuff, and sometimes you're just your head's buried in other projects and other stuff. So
And you don't
yeah.
watch all of our meetings?
Not all of them. Most of them I do.
Kidding.
Good answer.
I was yanking your chain.
No, I mean, usually on the Sunday mornings, I'm up early with the dog. It's if the replay's on, I'll watch it then.
A better place to be.
Yeah. So that's kind of sort of a lot of things on our plate. I think if we
Talk to me about the town hall conversion to natural gas. Now, the line is down in the center of town.
Yep.
We would have to bring that up at our cost.
Well, actually, the having gone through this now 3 times with the DOC and putting in a new service in, based on and we did it with the school. The cost of the line can be added onto your gas fee for the next 20 years if you want to, and so it's ultimately there's no immediate out-of-pocket costs because the line is there.
We didn't do that with the school.
I know, but we did it.
Out of pocket.
But the reason why we could do that at the prison though is because the volume was going to be so large.
Right,
So
but we didn't do it at the school.
So, but we're also looking at a short run too. So that may or may not be practical. But that's something that's part of the financial package we'd have to look at. But believe me, I know. I listen to the.
It's an inefficient system.
Oh, it is.
No one will argue
It
with
is, and I mean this is where if we go with a natural gas heating system and cooling system, I mean I can see we'd be seeing a huge savings. I don't have a good number off the top of my head, but you're going from fuel oil to natural gas. Just the BTU value is less than natural gas, but you're going to use a lot. You're going to use a lot less fuel
today.
Yep. Well, wait till 2018 because the Algonquin Spectra energy gas line that's coming right through Norfolk. I mean that expansion they're doing, it's coming right down the power lines. That's going to provide a huge.
It's an intriguing idea. I mean, it's just again a cost analysis. I mean,
Yep. Yeah.
I have no concept about what the expense would be to replace the system.
Typically, whoever our contact is with Columbia Gas in town should be able to give you some numbers. Not necessarily to run the gas line, but to do a total conversion, and they will provide rebates as well.
Yeah. Well, there's no question. I mean, I know that the Federated Church converted when the line came up, and I can tell you firsthand their savings were over 40%.
Yeah. And right now, natural gas is going up because the demand. I mean, it's the pre-winter cyclical
Right.
increase. But once that expansion goes through, providing they can get everything through Connecticut, in 4 years from now, I mean, the amount of gas that's available in Norfolk is going to be huge. So
Well, can you help us take a look at that?
yeah, I mean, I can. Well, Jack, do you want to send me an email? Who is
Michael Harn?
Okay, you have a different contact than we have at the prison. We have a different sales rep.
I mean, I can ask him those questions. And
Yeah, I mean, just tell them we're thinking about converting the town hall to natural gas. You're looking at a total equipment replacement.
What's the best you can do for us?
I mean, why wouldn't we look at the library at the same time?
I would, absolutely.
Let's add it on. Yeah, do that too. Yeah, because I know that's. I've
That's
seen-
not
I've
the best of systems
I've
either.
s- Yeah. Well, I mean, at the time.
Well, it's the best that we could do at the time.
At the time, yeah.
But times have changed,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The one thing the gas company will not do, and I know from experience, is that they are not going to provide a cost to look at the maintenance of the new equipment. And that's something that we'll have to come up with, we're going to have to come up with, whether we can ask some of the local HVAC people in the area to give an idea, okay, here's the piece of equipment you're looking at. How much would the annual maintenance be? I mean, obviously, natural gas.
We can
is
figure
different.
that out.
So
Yeah,
that's
I would think natural gas is, you're going to save money over oil anyway.
well, the condensing technology, the condensing natural gas boilers that are out there now,
Yeah.
completely different animals, as I've learned firsthand. The maintenance they tell you is going to be 2 to 5 years. Well, realistically, it's every 18 months. Something's got to be done. It's a little bit different. It's a lot more small, I'll call maintenance events rather than major shutdowns and all that type of stuff like you can see with an oil burner. So, is it a wash? I don't know. I just don't know. But that's something we'll have to look at.
Well, it's worth looking at, because it's close enough that it's viable.
Yeah. So, but typically, if we can commit to new sources coming on, I can't see why we can't negotiate the gas company rolling in the cost of the installation into our rate for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years or 5 years. So.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. There's other technology too, where if you even wanted to look at cogeneration using the natural gas to create electricity, and then heating in the wintertime, that's something else to look at too. And that technology is such that you could probably heat this building with a unit the size of this table. So, it's getting up there. So, I know we talked a lot of stuff.
Oh, but it's good
we
stuff,
got-
thanks.
If we can, keep the lines open.
Yeah,
And we'll,
please.
and Jack, if you want to send me an email, the guy, I can talk to the guy. What I can do is I can have him talk to Paul Jagier, who's our contact. Who I think you may know Paul from. I think he was involved with the gas line coming in. I know he's changed his role at Columbia Gas, but I can talk to him too and see if we can sort of transfer the concept and idea of what we did over at the prisons to here.
Okay.
So,
It was not that many years ago that Spectra Energy installed the infrastructure to unload liquefied natural gas out in Quincy to bring it into this country from places like Trinidad, what have you. That situation has changed. Now the flow is going to
Yep.
potentially go the other way.
yeah.
So it's dramatic.
Yeah.
It's a huge, huge change, and that wasn't that many years ago. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, the line, if you're familiar with that line, the improvements or the expansion, for lack of a better word, that they want to put in the power line right away that cuts through Norfolk. I mean, there's already a 24-inch line in the ground. They want to put a 30-inch next to it. So it's been 5 years. They've had consultants out there because our sewer line is right where they want to put their line.
Are you a sewer line?
Our sewer line is. Yep.
Of course it is.
So they're
And-
offering to move it for you and like, upgrade your sewer for you? Yes.
No. They're going to move their sewer line. Somebody already talked with them. They're not going to move the. We're not going to move the sewer line. They're going to have to come down a little bit. So, but yeah, that's going to it's more than a double capacity or ability of gas in the area. So, and I do know up north there's people that are against the project because of the perceived impact or negative impacts, but the price of oil and the price of other sources of fuel, and the natural gas spikes you've seen in the past year is because they can't get the gas. There's plenty of gas, they just can't get it to where it needs to go.
Now, would there ever be a chance that the gas will run through our town, or is that again they won't make that kind of investment? I mean,
Well,
they get
this-
more customers. I know they want the industrial users, but they've had every resident have the chance to get natural gas.
Well, up on Noon Hill, there's gas.
But that comes from Medfield.
It comes from Medfield, though. So, if they can bring the line down Seekonk Street, because it's already, I'm trying to think, where does it end? At Boardman? Just about Boardman now? Yeah, I mean, if they can bring it down, there has to be an opportunity for them to make money. So the more consumers they can, I'm quite sure everybody's gotten the blind mailing from Columbia Gas about hooking up to natural gas.
Look at that. I don't think. I probably threw it out if I did.
Oh, I mean, I did, and I called the 800 number, and they said they'd bring the gas right to my doorstep. I go, okay.
Yeah, what's the catch? Yeah, wait a second.
And I explained to him, I said, you do realize it's almost a mile away from where I live. And they go, oh. stuff. It's just a blind mailing, so obviously some education has to be done on their part. But if the infrastructure is there, there's no reason why people shouldn't be hooking up to it, unless some people are paranoid about natural gas, and rightly so, because of older technology where pilots go out and the basements fill up with gas and stuff like that. But anyways, so okay.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Thanks, it was
Thank
very
you.
informative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a new member.
Thank you, Lynn.
You were the support group.
What's left of us?
Thank you.
Good night, Andy. Thank you.
Okay. Now on to, we move into the town, the warrant check.
Yep.
So you sent us copies, I printed.
So I
that.
did, yeah, I left one on your,
Yeah, I printed what you sent, but, yep.
so this is, I've gone through probably 90% of this. I went through all the comments. Most of them are really just, I would say, for ease of use, stylistic, if you will, but better legal ease as far as deleting paragraphs, et cetera. So there's not a lot of big changes. What I don't know, or what I don't want to assume, is on the zoning articles. So I've sent them to Ray and to Bob. I'm not sure if we want to talk to John Weddleton about it, just in passing. And he raised a concern that, we've occurred in the past, is that town council makes a change and that may
Change the intent,
unintentionally
but
may
you're right.
change the intent. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I would like that zoning working committee to at least take a look at these before, before we kind of accept all of town council's proposed changes.
I'm okay with that. I read them too, I'm not a lawyer. It didn't seem like they're changing the intent, but you're right.
Well, they made some major changes on the kennel one.
I think they just reordered it though, the way they
Well,
explained
they
it.
made some changes
For
that
instance.
I just haven't had time to take a look at, but I agree with you, Scott. We should let the group take a look.
If they're willing to do that, if the group's willing to help us, that'd be great.
I mean, Ray already went through them, and he was pretty comfortable with them. There is some, we have to add a description for, like, the RMDs, which is the, in the marijuana
Dispensaries.
article, medical dispensary. We have to add some language that we're cutting, that I noticed on another one, so that's not a problem, I can do that. So I'll have them do that. Who's the chairman of? Oh, it's Ray, right?
That's Ray.
Yeah. One thing that I haven't had a chance to ask town council about, but in one of their notes they mention that you have to, all the zoning articles have to follow. It's chapter 140. They have to follow the process of, and it's the process where the planning board has the public hearing, et cetera, et cetera. So I went through the law, and we do everything according to the law, so that was good. Except that the law doesn't allow for the zoning working committee to be the sponsor of a, there's no such thing as a zoning bylaw study committee or a zoning working committee unless you have a charter. So the zoning articles either have to be sponsored by property owners, by the Board of Selectmen, by the Planning Board, or by petition. So I'll just ask town council if we need to change that.
I would suggest it be us, because we formed
be
that
the
working,
easiest thing
we
to do.
formed that working committee.
It's not a big deal, it's just,
No, but someone has to take the, someone's label's got to be on that. I don't think it would be fair to put this one on the planning board.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest that as well, and if there's any concern, given this upcoming town meeting, we do have planning board members who are participating in that working committee, so they may be able to do the lifting.
I don't think there's any division of support. It's just,
Meeting, because I'm not sure you can do both at the same time.
my only reason for saying that, Jeff, is that we were the ones that formed the committee. That's all. Just, they were working on our behalf, so I didn't think it, if you guys want to own it, it's okay by me.
No, it's just this next one, I don't think you can do both. I don't
Yeah.
think you can make the change and also, what I'm saying, allow them to.
I got you.
Yeah.
And then the other ones at the end, I have the two, and town council added a lot of, as I was expecting, added a lot of language to the two, for the two public safety chiefs. So I'll have those for you. They will be slightly different, only in that, I suspect they will be different, in that Chief Bushnell is, has not maxed out. So if you read the end of that, there's language in there to say that he would not contribute into, after the age of 65, he would not contribute into his pension.
Right.
But in fact, he will. So
He's not
we'll
maxed out.
strike that language, so he would, unless he doesn't want it, but I can't believe he wouldn't. So he'll continue to contribute into that, his pension. But in Chief Stone's situation, since he's well maxed out, in years anyway, that he will no longer contribute into his pension. But the good news is, from a financial point of view, from our perspective, is that he will, then there will be a period of time after he's 65 that he won't be contributing to his pension, but we won't be paying anything out, so it'll be a savings to us through the pension, through our pension costs. And then when he does actually retire, he would start receiving his pension as if he retired back on his date, as they say.
In other words, he can't accrue any additional credits.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we have the three related to the wastewater treatment facility. They added a lot of language in there for easements after a bunch of the folks at Copeland looked at that. They thought it was a good idea. They did strike the last article, but I told them that we needed to put it back on. They were, I didn't word the draft there very well, and so they kind of missed my intent. So we're going to put it back in, but the intent of that last article is to fund the enterprise fund. I just cut and paste language from a transfer article, so they didn't catch that, which
Okay.
makes sense that they didn't. But so that will be it. That last article will come back, and it will be to fund the if we do take the treatment plant, we'll then have to create a budget for it, which will be based on the revenues from the facility.
If the town says no to this, and I hope they don't, I hope they say yes, because, there's a whole lot more around it. But if they say no, then the other component of this arrangement falls off the table.
Yep. And that's been signed off on now, so now that, I got that today, so now that can become a public document. So that's the mediation agreement. So, so the other component you're talking about is the paving of the roads, so.
Right.
That would,
So we can talk more freely about it tomorrow night with the advisory board.
yeah. And I fully understand there'll be a lot of, I need to do, and with some help from other people, do some more homework on the wastewater treatment plant between now and the
Right.
town meeting, because that's, nobody wants to inherit a liability, and that's
You think you have all that done? You're going to be comfortable that we have all that? I mean,
I did get a tour, by the way,
did?
the other morning.
of the facility.
The contractor was there, the door was open, I knocked on the door, introduced myself, and he gave me the tour. I have some background in some of that kind of equipment, so it wasn't entirely foreign to me, so. he-
Have a look.
I mean, we didn't waste all those years on the Board of Health with you?
Focus.
Just kidding.
Too
I'm just
distracted. But, no, I was impressed. It looks, from, obviously you can't see, all the submerged pumps and equipment, but from, what I could see and the comments of the contractor that were there, it reinforced the things that we've said in the past, that, it seems to be a good system, it just, underutilized.
Yeah.
20%, isn't it about 20% capacity?
Closer to 10, yeah.
10,
Yeah.
wow.
Depending on your math's better than mine. It's permanent for 30,000 gallons a day, and it's going between 3 and 6, so 10 to 20.
how the hell they get that to work?
Close enough.
The school couldn't get that to work, though. KP couldn't get that to work with a big system. It didn't get enough flow.
I don't know all the details about that, but that was a disaster.
Yeah, they get
And the 65 is there. That's
65.
not, it's
Oh,
not,
it is there.
that's not monopoly money, it's real.
That's real money. I did talk to DEP about I talked to, I can't remember his name off the top of my head now, but he's head of the Worcester office for septic treatment, and we had a long conversation today talking about it. And sorry, my voice is fading, I think. He went through all the reports. He pulled it up on a system and looked through all the reporting that it's not Kohler & Colantonio, but it's the new entity for Kohler & Colantonio that's taken over who does the day-to-day ops, is probably the guy that you bumped into. And he said they have been outstanding, so they weren't worried about them when the facility from a functioning point of view, because they have a good, they're very familiar with that. The gentleman that runs is the operator. And he looked through the reports, and as we knew, they had a slight blip in one of the levels very early in the process, but he said they fixed it right the next month. Nothing unusual that they were concerned about, and so they resolved it. His only concern, and I wouldn't even phrase it as a concern, but his comment was, which is what you said, is just the volumes are so low that he'd like to see them go up just so the plant runs more efficiently.
Now, the new store going in here is on that system.
Yeah, that'll connect to it, and hopefully we'll get the rest of that. I know the new owner of the empty lots over by the Walgreens sign, closer to Main Street, is actively marketing that. So hopefully he'll get those built up. That would be tremendous. And we can look at, if we do take ownership of the property. We've talked to different people who all have interest in the center of town. I mean, there's certainly an interest in connecting other facilities outside of what is allowed now. So right now, it's just the old Norfolk Town Commons, both commercial and residential, that are allowed to connect to it.
But we could change
But
that, right?
if we own it, we can change that.
We could change it if we go through the zoning board.
Right.
But that's, obviously relatively within our
Like with this
control.
building connect in the library, I mean, would they?
I'm obviously not an engineer, but I certainly would think you could connect. If Walgreens is connected to it, I can't believe we couldn't connect.
Got to dig up the crosswalk anyway, Scott.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Let's do it all at once. Let's not do it again. Put it in, put it out, put it in. And we'll hear about it forever on TV, on the internet, saying, "Why did you dig it up again?" Right? This time we put a thing in there. Okay.
Well, I'm glad that's signed, so we can publicly visit on that a little bit more. Okay.
Is that all in the warranty?
I think that's it. We'll just, once I said, I'll go through with Ray, and I would assume next week the zoning committee can meet, or this week later, and we'll get that cleaned up by your next meeting and be good. We are going to the advisory board has a meeting tomorrow, so I'm going. I know Jim expressed interest in going, so we'll go talk about all these.
They don't have me on the agenda. They have me on the agenda. You mean you want to take my spot?
What time, Chair?
Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
You sure?
Uh,
I mean, if you,
No. I don't care either way because we have guests from Ukraine.
Oh,
I think it's
7.
I didn't know they had you on the agenda.
Because of
I'm
the
sorry.
chairman.
Oh, okay.
Let me give you this.
No, I don't want that. I don't want that.
No, but you can go. Yeah, no, you.
You can both go. I'll stay home.
No, but I don't think it's posted that way. I don't know if that would cause a problem, right? Because they posted it.
We're not posted, right?
We're posted on the advisory board, though, on the website and the town website.
Are we posted for the meeting tomorrow night?
No.
The advisory board is posted.
No, they're posted, but we're not.
No,
We're not.
They're posted at 6:30.
yeah, Jack.
Oh, it's a
Ray,
6:30 meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah? Yeah, I have nobody from the Ukraine visiting, so I'm good.
I don't know. We're
Relative-
just
these
hosting.
relative?
Yeah,
We're
room
just hosting.
214.
Like through a World Boston Organization, just hosting 2 gentlemen. That learn
Oh,
about
cool.
politics. Yeah, they got here.
Oh.
They got here last Friday.
That must be fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating.
Yeah.
The nice guys. They're out tonight, but they're up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Oh, that's great.
Well, I'll end up picking them up sometime when they get a call.
Yeah.
I missed all that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
for that.
yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't mean to intrude.
No worries.
6:30. It's 214, so it's
And
upstairs.
did you send them the minutes from that? Because I found the minutes were interesting. Like you know how you sent the minutes? Did you send to all of us, the advisory board minutes?
I believe I did.
Okay, did you get those?
I did.
Okay.
Found them very interesting.
That's what I mean too, yeah. I just wanted, I didn't want to.
One of the reasons why I wanted to go.
Yeah, I figured that. You telling, I mean too, I was like, but I don't want to be,
Yeah.
you're there to talk and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw the same thing, because I was like, 'cause
I think we all saw it.
yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
this one here. and-
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
Like,
Yep,
Yeah, okay. I figured you'd be jumping.
thought that was rather interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what the reason, yeah, okay. Do we have-
Marion told me we're going to do the goals next meeting, so.
Okay, fine.
I always listen to Marion.
Marion said what?
She wants to do the goals next meeting, is that okay? That's okay with the chairman, so yes, Marion.
Yes, ma'am.
Second, all in favor, aye. Jack, anything?
Chairman has spoken.
What else, Jack? Are we going into executive session tonight?
We are, talk about 14 Char Drive.
Okay, do we have anything else before we do that, guys? Anyone? We're gonna be taking a vote or coming out?
No, I did mention to you, I can't share all the details, but I did mention to a couple of you before the meeting that I believe the Lions are going to get involved in the Field of Flags program again this fall, this spring. So they're still talking about what they're going to do, and I know the Fisher House has reached out to them and has really appreciated the support Norfolk has given them. I guess from our last Field of Flags event, people are still keep the Fisher House in mind. So it's
Wonderful.
so that's
Great-
been
great program.
So I don't mean to jump the gun on the Lions, but I guess I'm putting a little pressure on them to actually
Yeah,
pull this off.
Good job,
now,
Jack,
so,
thank you, yeah.
I hope they do.
We can help in any way.
Yeah.
I hope they do.
Call Jack.
I told them, they asked me kind of informally to find out if it was okay to use the Town Hill, and it sounds like they potentially could be dominating Town Hill
Nothing wrong with that?
on Memorial Day, so that would be great.
The pictures people,
Absolutely.
the pictures people took, the little kids walking through, yeah, it was amazing.
You know,
Yeah.
if they do, I mean, I know we do our traditional down at the cemetery Memorial Day service, but maybe there's some way we could do something a little different. Instead of going on the corner where we traditionally
Yeah,
go
the
for
top,
a
yeah.
briefer service,
Yeah.
maybe we could do some, if that Field of Flags is
Walk
up,
around and
we should do something up
Yeah,
there,
it's interesting, yeah.
something special up there.
That'd be great.
Anything else?
No, nothing.
You know, call Chip Fagan over in Millis.
Oh, the guy did the chair?
Yeah,
Sure.
and see if maybe something like a military honor guard or something could be there.
Yeah. If they want
I mean,
it. Yeah.
that would be
Bagpipes. something.
really special, I think, you know, that if we could do something up on the hill with all those flags there.
Maybe we get some more publicity, give them more publicity for the fishing house. at least the
Absolutely.
Field of
I
Flags.
mean, anything we can do for those guys.
Anything else?
No, nothing other than.
We'll be here before you know it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know.
Where does it
We
go?
have winter between now and then.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
right.
right,
Yeah,
oil
snow,
and,
snow,
yeah, I
yeah,
forgot
yeah.
about that.
So, thank you then.
And hockey season.
There you go.
All right, well, we're going to be, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be going into executive session and not coming back on TV. Our next meeting is scheduled for
21st.
October 21st. So we will be going into executive session. We need a roll call vote.
Jim Lehan, aye.
Scott Bugby, aye.
Jeff Palumbo, aye.
Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.